What the boy had feared, however, soon came to pass. The most modest and retiring dragon in the world, if he's as big as 4 cart horses and covered with blue scales, cannot keep altogether out of the public view. And so, in the village tavern of nights, the fact that a real live dragon sat brooding in the cave on the downs was naturally a subject for talk. Though the villagers were extremely frightened, they were rather proud of it as well. It was a distinction to have a dragon of your own, and it was felt to be a feather in the cap of the village. Still, all were agreed that this sort of thing couldn't be allowed to go on. The dreadful beast must be exterminated. The countryside must be freed from this pest, this terror, this destroying scourge. The fact that not even a hen roost was the worse for the dragon's arrival wasn't allowed to have anything to do with it. He was a dragon, and he couldn't deny it, and if he didn't choose to behave as such, that was his own lookout. But in spite of much valiant talk, no hero was found willing to take sword and spear and free the suffering village and win deathless fame, and each night's heated discussion always ended in nothing. Meanwhile, the dragon, a happy bohemian, lolled on the turf, enjoyed the sunsets, told antediluvian anecdotes to the boy, and polished his old verses while meditating on fresh ones. One day the boy, on walking into the village, found everything wearing a festal appearance which was not to be accounted for in the calendar. Carpets and gay-colored stuffs were hung out of the windows. The church bells clamored noisily. The little street was flower-strewn, and the whole population jostled each other along either side of it, chattering, shoving, and ordering each other to stand back. The boy saw a friend of his own age in the crowd and hailed,
"What's that? Is it the players? Or bears? Or a circus? Or what?"
"It's all right. He's a-coming,"
his friend hailed back.
"Who's a-coming?"
demanded the boy, thrusting into the throng.
"Why, St. George, of course. He's heard tell of our dragon, and he's coming on purpose to slay the deadly beast and free us from the torrid yoke. Oh my, won't there be a jolly fight!"
Here was news indeed. The boy felt that he ought to make quite sure for himself, and he wriggled himself in between the legs of his good-natured elders, abusing them all the time for their unmannerly habit of shoving. Once in the front rank, he breathlessly awaited the arrival. Presently, from the faraway end of the line came the sound of cheering. Next, the measured tramp of a great war horse made his heart beat quicker. And then he found himself cheering with the rest, as amidst welcoming shouts, shrill cries of women, uplifting of babies, and waving of handkerchiefs, St. George paced slowly up the street. The boy's heart stood still, and he breathed with sobs. The beauty and the grace of the hero were so far beyond anything he had yet seen. His fluted armor was inlaid with gold, his plumed helmet hung at his saddle-bow, and his thick fair hair framed a face gracious and gentle beyond expression, till you caught the sternness in his eyes. He drew rein in front of the little inn, and the villagers crowded round with greetings and thanks and voluble statements of their wrongs and grievances and oppressions. The boy heard the grave, gentle voice of the saint, assuring them that all would be well now, and that he would stand by them and see them righted and free them from their foe. Then he dismounted and passed through the doorway, and the crowd poured in after him. But the boy made off up the hill as fast as he could lay his legs to the ground.
"It's all up, dragon!"
he shouted as soon as he was within sight of the beast.
"He's coming! He's here now! You'll have to pull yourself together and do something at last!"
The dragon was licking his scales and rubbing them with a bit of house flannel the boy's mother had lent him, till he shone like a great turquoise.
"Don't be violent, boy,"
he said without looking round.
"Sit down and get your breath. And try and remember that the noun governs the verb. And then perhaps you'll be good enough to tell me who's coming."
That's right. Take it coolly,
said the boy.
Hope you'll be half as cool when I've got through with my news. It's only St. George who's coming. That's all. You rode it to the village half an hour ago. Of course you could lick him, a great big fellow like you. But I thought I'd warn you, 'cause he's sure to be round early. And he's got the longest, wickedest looking spear you ever did see.
And the boy got up and began to jump round in sheer delight at the prospect of the battle.
"Oh, dearie, dearie me,"
moaned the dragon.
"This is too awful. I won't see him, and that's flat. I don't want to know the fellow at all. I'm sure he's not nice. You must tell him to go away at once, please. Say he can write if he likes, but I can't give him an interview. I'm not seeing anybody at present."
Now, dragon,
said the boy imploringly.
Don't be perverse and wrong-headed. You've got to fight him sometime or another. You know, 'cause he's St. George, and you are the dragon. Better get it over, and then we can go on with the sonnets. And you ought to consider other people a little too. If it's been dull up here for you, think how dull it's been for me.
"My dear little man,"
said the dragon solemnly.
"just understand once and for all that I can't fight and I won't fight. I've never fought a day in my life, and I'm not going to begin now just to give you a Roman holiday. In old days, I let the other fellows, the earnest fellows, do all the fighting, and no doubt that's why I have the pleasure of being here now."
But if you don't fight, he'll cut your head off,
gasped the boy, miserable at the prospect of losing both his fight and his friend.
"Oh, I think not,"
said the dragon in his lazy way.
"You'll be able to arrange something. I've every confidence in you. You're such a manager. Just run down, there's a dear chap, and make it all right. I leave it entirely to you."